Begun reading Michel Houellebecq's The Elementary Particles, and this is the translation I have from Vintage F. Win. And I used to be able to say that I speak French. I used to be able to read in French, and it's been some time. And I regret that I have not kept up with it. And I'm eager to read Houellebecq in French. But that's an aside. There's some sentences here I'm dying to think about how they would be in French. One of them I tweeted today. It's within a few pages of where I was. Let me see if I can find it. But it's not only sort of brilliant, but its placement, I think, is something special. He is, from the standpoint of craft, just better than a lot of writers. And immediately it feels, like on another level. Like he seizes a position, I think, in our society as a writer of literature very rapidly. I'm having difficulty finding this line. Here we go. So the line was, a world that respects only the young eventually devours everyone. A world that respects only the young eventually devours everyone. And where this lands is kind of interesting. He felt as though he might explode. What had changed since his adolescence? He still had the same desires, with the knowledge that he probably could never satisfy them. A world that respects only the young eventually devours everyone. For lunch, he chose a Catholic. I mean, she was easy to spot. She wore a big iron cross around her neck. Besides, her heavy lower lids gave her eyes the fervor common to Catholics or mystics, parenthetically, though admittedly also to alcoholics, close paren, period, is something mind-blowing. And now this book came out in 1998, and in English in 2000, and is, I think, among a certain number of people considered, a brilliant stroke. And it is speaking to me in a way I most immediately think of, like, Hess, Narcissus, and Goldmund comes to mind, because of that pairing of, as an author placing into character stuff. And here it's these two stepbrothers. And that is, one would think, as a conceit, pretty thin, but it's not if you do it with nuance. Then now you have, not just two streams of thought in a way, but a brilliant image of a vast spectrum of emotion, culture, thoughts, ideas about the way we, as like ape men that we are, human beings that have now just transcended our animal nature to such an immense and drastic extent. I think you get what I'm getting at, and I'm about this deep here, so I should be done here in the next day or two. And what the problem is this book now, in the contemporary state where we're having a very pitched battle using, hashtag #MeToo or hashtag Time's Up, to stand up for women and to allow them to express themselves and be heard, to hear them, and to give volume to them, so that we can come to a more equitable society, I think is important. It's in the forefront right now. I'm totally down. I think that as a feminist and a person who believes it's long overdue that women should be treated equally, certainly in matters of pay and in other socio-political matters, but also that if there's serial abuse happening because part of our society is looking another way, or because we impart to people a value that places them outside of the moral framework, I guess, of our society, that we have to, use those as teaching moments, I would say. And so I'm trapped in this, thinking about all that now, trying to participate in it honestly, fairly, and in support of women and the LGBTQ community, who I think need support and a voice, and I'll contribute what I can, obviously, to that. I'm also, in midlife, a man struggling with, I think, identity with what midlife brings, the nearness of mortality. Now, as they say, the kind of like idea that it's closer now, you'll have less years now than you've had already, say. It's a good way to put it, because I'm certainly not going to live to be 100 years old. And the acceptance that requires, and I know this is petty, the acceptance that requires is a struggle that I'm engaged in that I think puts me in direct collision with humankind, not just man, woman, humankind's understanding of us, who we are, and honest perception of that. And literature and writing has been my interest since I was 10, and I've always wanted to write a good novel. I've written 4 novels, and I thought one was all right, but that's why I'm engaged in this, because I want to be able to do what I think Houllebecq is doing extremely effectively here. And the elementary particles, Houllebecq, in icy rain weather in the RPRZ today, is what's up.